The almighty Prince Vegeta!
What's good, people? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video, and today I'm going to be going over a little thread that I made earlier on Twitter featuring some polls that you guys voted on. And when I say you guys, I mean my Twitter followers, but I assume that some of you subscribe to me on YouTube as well. So I'm just going to say you guys, just for the sake of saying my Twitter followers or my YouTube subs. Like, I'm just going to say you guys. So yeah, anyway, if you're not following me over on Twitter, make sure you go and do so, because you'll be able to get involved in stuff like this, and it's pretty fun. So yeah, anyway, the tweet reads, gonna create a thread with some unit comparisons. Vote below which of the two units is better right now in each matchup. Try not to be biased. Take into account their team selection, individual quality, and meta relevance. There are 6 polls altogether. So poll number 1 is featuring LF Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and LF Goku and Vegeta. Poll number 2, LF Sword of Hope Trunks and LF Full Power Frieza. Poll number 3, LF Super Vegito, LF Revival Gohan. 4 is LF Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, LF Full Power Jiren. Poll number 5, LF Bardock and LF Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. And the last and final poll, poll number 6, is Zamasu, Goku Black Assist versus Revival Frieza. Whew, I can take a breath. So 6 polls altogether, and some of them are interesting. We got quite a few votes too. On most of them we got around 200. On the Bardock and Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta one I actually got almost 300. Now this has only been out 5 hours. There's still another 19 hours to go. So who knows, these results might change, but I'm just going to go off of what I can see right now. So yeah, starting off at the top. This one's pretty interesting because this has actually fluctuated. At one point, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was winning this pretty heavily, and then Goku and Vegeta has now caught up, and now they're dominating the poll. So I think this one, could actually go down to the wire. Obviously Goku and Vegeta are dominating right now, but I think it's pretty mixed, because this has gone up. Like I said, it's varied. It's gone up, down. So I suppose we'll have to see with this one, but it's pretty interesting. Now, I've always had Goku and Vegeta above G4, just because of just how cancerous their color switching is. It's just so irritating. You can literally be one comboing Goku with a yellow, you might drop combo or something, he switches into Vegeta, hits you with a blue card, and then he could just literally one-shot your yellow unit. It's so irritating, so cancerous. But since losing their featured boost, they are quite fragile, to be honest. They are susceptible to getting one-shotted by ults, or even almost killed by blue cards in the right circumstances. So obviously G4 is a lot better than them in that respect. In regards of damage, I don't think his damage is as good as theirs, to be honest, in most circumstances. His ult damage is obviously really, really good. They don't have an ult, but their blue card damage is absolutely insane. It's hard for me, I think, because you also have to take into account that every time you see them, they're usually Zenkai boosted, whereas Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta at the most has 1 if they have Super Saiyan 3 Goku on their bench. So it's kind of one of them where it's kind of like a case-by-case basis. I think if you're considering Goku and Vegeta on Mono Purple because of the sheer Zenkai buffs, the support from Super Vegito, etc., I think they're better on there than any setup that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is on individually, but it's not by much. But in regards of individual units, it's close, man. It's close. Like I always say, you can switch them. They're 2 or 3 for sure. Like one's number 2, one's number 3. You can switch them though, and whoever you prefer. But that's a pretty interesting one. So that's poll number 1. Poll number 2 is neck and neck. LF Sword of Hope Trunks and LF Full Power Frieza is wow, 51% and 49%. So if I literally voted on this, and then maybe a few other people voted on this, it'd be 50-50, which is crazy. So I've always preferred Sword of Hope Trunks, but I do think the LF Full Power Frieza is more meta relevant, even though the both of them only really have one like elite team. Sword of Hope Trunks on Future and LF Full Power Frieza obviously on LOE. Both of them around the same, I'd say. Future is elite, LOE is elite, but yeah, I think that just comes down to preference. I honestly think Sword of Hope is a better unit individually. Obviously taking into account if he has his endurance on his right setup, I do think individually he is a better unit. But honestly, LOE is just incredible, man. You have Purple Frieza, who provides key recovery, damage, holds a blue card. You then have Revival Frieza, who helps him to heal up on switch. On top of Frieza also having access to 2 plats and some pretty busted equips. Also, him nullifying endurance on all of his attacks is huge for this meta. His colour as well, being yellow, counters so many purple units. So yeah, Frieza's good for sure. And whoever you'd go for on this, I think it once again comes down to preference. But I would have personally gone for Sword of Hope Trunks. Obviously I can't vote on my own polls. but I personally would have gone for Sword of Hope Trunks. Now next up, and this is a pretty controversial one, because I always assumed that this was like a neck in neck sort of thing, but apparently not. It's almost 80 to 20. So that is crazy. LF Super Vegito dominating the poll against LF Revival Gohan, which I do think is a little bit unfair. A little bit unfair. I don't think Revival Gohan is that much worse than him. I think it's pretty close, to be honest. They offer different things. Obviously, Revival Gohan isn't very tanky, but he does superior. Well, let me not say superior, but it is better than Super Vegito. So I don't want to like, you know, put emphasis on him having like superior damage, because it's not that much better, but he has got more damage than Super Vegito for sure. His blue card hits just so hard. His strike damage even hits so hard once he's built up. He obviously has revival as well, so great rising rush control. But Super Vegito once again just gets so many Zenkai boosts, very similar to Goku and Vegeta. He supports. I know Revival Gohan supports in his first life as well, but Super Vegito supports all the time. Has a cover change, has an ult that can one-shot as well. So, I don't know, I think I prefer Super Vegito, but if someone was to say to me I prefer Revival Gohan, I would not be, you know, I wouldn't be angry with that. I wouldn't say, oh, that's crazy or anything. I think Revival Gohan deserves to have a lot more votes than this. I'm so surprised. This is what I'm most surprised by, to be honest. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Let me know down below what you think about that. But next we have Evo against Jiren. Now, Evo versus Jiren. Both of them share a similar problem, where both of them don't really have a dominant team right now. And if you're going to see one of them, it will most likely be in the leader slot. Jiren, most definitely. Jiren is the newer unit. He can get endurance, do pretty similar damage. I'd say Jiren maybe does a little bit more damage if Evo isn't built up. Evo obviously taking a little while to ramp up. Who do I prefer? It's a hard one, because I've used Evo a lot more than Jiren. I haven't used Jiren too much. I used him quite a bit when he first released, but since then I haven't really used him too much, just because he lacks a team. But I'd probably say Jiren is a little bit better than him individually. But yeah, I can see that. I mean, maybe 70-30 is a bit strong, but yeah, I can see Jiren winning that. That's fair enough. Can't really argue with that one too much. Now, this one, I think, is ludicrous. I completely disagree with this. Now, if you want to say to me, now, if we go back to my wording, I've got to be fair. My wording is take into account their team selection, individual quality, and meta relevance. So it's not just down to individual quality here. I have got to be fair to Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. Obviously taking into account his superior team selection at the moment. He has movies, God Key, Fusion Warriors, where Bardock only really has Saiyans. Guess you could consider them both in the leader slot, but you're not going to realistically have either of them in the leader slot over some of the better options in the game. So just considering their current viable teams in the meta, Gogeta pretty much washes him. But if we're talking individual quality, I just can't see an argument for Gogeta being better than Bardock, to be honest. I mean, I get it. He does, of course, have his game-changing green card. His ult still hits really hard. He heals when he comes in. But at the same time, he takes a long while to build up. He doesn't get any form of card draw speed anywhere in his kit. He can't take a hit very well unless he's near enough at 14 stars. But, you know, Bardock has his cons as well. He doesn't have access to all his damage buffs until he's got a dead battle member. He doesn't get his endurance or his green card ability, which allows him to get his vanishing gauge back unless he has a dead battle member. So I do understand that Bardock does also have his drawbacks, but I do think that Bardock at his peak is better than Gogeta Blue. Obviously having 2 times card draw speed, he does get endurance, he does get the vanishing gauge recovery and healing on his green. He also goes type neutral when taking damage as well. So I do think Bardock just has a lot more to his kit. Definitely has more last man standing potential as well. So in all honesty, I do prefer Bardock. But if people are looking at this from the standpoint of, well, Bardock only has one team and they're not the greatest right now, then I can kind of understand where you're coming from. But I think all in all, it is a little bit criminal to put Gogeta Blue above Bardock. But it is what it is. Moving on to the final poll, and we have Zamasu Goku Black Assist versus Revival Frieza. Now, this is shocking me. This is shocking me. Now, the reason I went for these two, the rest of the units in these polls are obviously all LF units, and I wanted to go with some 1% sparking units. These are arguably the 2 best 1% units in the game, so I thought I'd just go for these two. And it's pretty close. A lot closer than I thought. I mean, I thought Revival Frieza would absolutely wash this, considering how good he is on LoE, and the fact that the LF Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Zenkai has more or less just replaced Goku Black Zamasu on all of his teams, but apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently people are still digging Goku Black Zamasu. They are most definitely still a really solid unit. Maybe still the tankiest unit in the game. Definitely up there for sure. So, you know, it's not ludicrous to have them above Revival Frieza, but when you consider how pivotal and important Revival Frieza is to LoE, how well he synergizes with the team, how good LoE is right now, one of the best meta counter teams in the game, then you look at Goku Black Zamasu, they've been booted off in Future in my opinion. I think Zenkai 7 Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta is just a better option on Future. On God Key, they have a shout, but God Key obviously isn't one of the best teams in the game right now. You can use them for sure, you know, they're not terrible, you can get away with using them if you're a skilled player. But if you do take them into the high ranks, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage in my opinion, because you will come up against a lot better teams. So I would say that Frieza takes the team selection for sure. Now individually, even though I do think Frieza has the better kit and wins that one as well, but he does have a huge downside, and that is of course, whenever you face a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, you more or less can't bring Frieza. He color counters him directly, and he also obviously has his absolutely devastating anti-revival capabilities, so you have to take that into account. Obviously G4 isn't any old unit, he is the second or third best unit in the game, he's in the best team in the game right now, and he is also very, very popular, so you see him a lot, so that's going to be a heavy burden on Frieza. But even with that in mind, I do still think Frieza takes this just because of how good LoE is, and obviously with Zamasu Goku Black getting more or less replaced. So yeah, that is all 6 of the polls. Some pretty interesting results for sure, some surprises in there, the Bardock and Gogeta Blue one especially. It should be pretty interesting to see how these end up over the next 18-19 hours, so if you haven't gone over and voted, make sure you go and do so. And if you don't follow me over on Twitter and you want to get involved in the next poll or whatever I do, be sure to go and follow me over there and get involved. But yeah, let me know down below your opinions. If you agree with some of the polls, maybe you disagree, make sure you let me know. And as always, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you in the next one.